What's up, everybody? Come on in the room. We're back at the Fryar place. Yep, we're here at new time on Friday, same day, but we're here 6 p.m. We changed our time. You know, we're live every first Friday at the Cigar Code, live audience, live guest. But the other 3 weeks of the month, second week, second Fridays, third Friday, fourth Friday, we're here in the studio and we have a virtual guest. But come on in the room, y'all. Let me know who's watching right now. Say hi. You have any questions for our guest tonight? I'm going to introduce him in a minute. You have any questions for him, please throw a Q up and a semicolon. That way my eyes will recognize that you have a question and we will acknowledge you and maybe throw up the question on the screen. And my guest and me will do the very best we can to answer your question. We have some merchandise too. I'm going to put up a link after our guest leaves tonight. I'm going to put up a link for some merchandise to tell you where you can get our new merchandise. We got some hoodies, the Fryar Place hoodies, yeah, in the house. Before he comes on, I need to introduce him. I was looking on the internet. This is a good friend of mine, someone that I played, former teammate of mine down in Miami. Great man. I was looking for some highlights of him on the internet and I couldn't find any. So that was not good. I don't know why. We need to check that out. We need to protest that. But his name is Keith Jackson, y'all. And I found something out today that I did not know. His middle name is Jerome. Yeah, Jerome. Keith Jerome Jackson. I'm gonna talk to him about that. He's laughing. Out of Little Rock, Arkansas, tight end, first round draft choice, 1988, out of Oklahoma. At Oklahoma, he was two-time All-American and a 1985 national champ at Oklahoma. That's big time. 9 years in the NFL, Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles first. Miami Dolphins with me, the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl champion in Super Bowl 31, 1988 Rookie of the Year, three-time first team All-American, or All-Pro, I should say, three-time first team All-Pro, five-time Pro Bowler, 411 receptions, 5,283 yards, and 49 touchdowns. He was Rookie of the Year, his rookie year. Y'all, it's my pleasure to introduce to you my friend, Keith Jackson.
Appreciate all the clapping.
Well, that's not the people.
Dr. Irving Fryar.
Come on, man. You listen. I left New England and came down there to Miami with you and Keith Byers, and Mark Ingram left the Giants and came down to Miami same time that I did, and O.J. McDuffie came in that year. Man, we had a great team. People always ask me, where did you enjoy your time in the NFL the most? And, you know, though I live in the Philadelphia area in New Jersey, I have to tell them Miami. We had it was great camaraderie. We had like-mindedness. We were Christians and we fellowshiped together. We went over one another's houses. It was great, man. I had a great time. It was like I was born again. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It surely helped that we had an explosive offense. I mean, you just think about it. You had so much talent. You had Pro Bowlers at a lot of positions, and you could get the ball to anybody. Back in those days, they didn't create ways for you to get open. The quarterback did a read. Jackson's double team, we go to the X over to Fryar and get the ball to him. If Ingram is double team, Keith Byers coming out, whatever it was, the quarterback made the decisions. This day and age, you know, the opportunity to move around and get yourself into position to make plays, then everybody had to play, right? So if you had a weakness, that means they double team, somebody took you away. So it was a lot of fun because when you have a trigger caller like Dan Marino and some guys who can run around and get open and catch the ball, that was a lot of fun. It was fun.
You know, one of the main things for me, KJ, that's what I'm going to call him, y'all. He's not KJ Jerome. To me.
Not Jerome.
No, not Jerome. We're going to talk about it, Jerome. Jerome in the house. You ain't tell nobody your name was Jerome. Your middle name was Jerome, man.
Jerome Brown had that name. I didn't want to take it from him. Jerome was my boy.
That was in Philly. That wasn't down in Miami. I didn't play with you in Philly. Jerome, you know, one of the things that people don't realize is I tell this story, you know, when people interview me, I tell this story about coming down to Miami and, you know, just being born again as a wide receiver, really learning how to be a wide receiver for the first time. I played 9 years in New England. And, you know, when we had an offensive play called in New England, we didn't have adjustments. We didn't have audibles in New England. If the defense was in a lineup or lined up in a way that was going to be detrimental to the play that we called in the huddle, we just took one on the chin and chalked that one up as a loss. Right. We didn't have audibles. The quarterback didn't change anything. None of that. What we called is what we ran. Then I come down into Miami, and Dan is changing plays at the line of scrimmage, giving us individual signals at the line of scrimmage, in the middle of the, calling out the signals. I'm like, what is going on here? This is not fair.
Let me tell the fans of the Fryar place this.
Uh-oh.
You liked it way more than I did, because anytime Marino saw you one-on-one,
yes, sir,
he would change the play to go to you.
Yes, sir.
And rightfully so, because you didn't get a lot of one-on-ones, but when you have to cover the buyers out of the backfield in Jackson, then they come double, and all of a sudden you see that corner walk up one-on-one. It's an instant audible that Irving Fryar, who at 30-something years old still could run a 4.3 or 4.2, whatever, how fast you were, we took advantage of it. Why not?
Man.
You couldn't get a one-on-one situation. They know you were double. You were a great receiver. So it's like all the audibles when it came to Patrick, Marino look out there and go.
He just threw his hand. Yeah, he threw his hand down. He would the last I think it was the first game he was back in 1994. We were talking about the 93 and 94 season before we came on. In 1994, 93 is when I came to Miami. Dan got hurt, ruptured his Achilles. So Scott Mitchell came in and we finished the season with Scott Mitchell. That next year, 94, Dan came back. The first game back for Dan was at home game against the New England Patriots. Now we're down and it's fourth down, 5 yards to go. We're on our own 45. We have no timeouts. If we don't get the first down, the game is over for us. I mean, there was like a minute something left on the clock, but the game is over. And he called a trips left, and if you go back and look at that play, you and Byers and Ingram were on the left in a trips formation. And I was out on the right side by myself. The ball, according to the play, was supposed to go to one of you three.
That's right.
But Dan came up to the line of scrimmage and saw that I was one-on-one and gave me that little 5-finger down by his hip. Yeah. And that's a go. I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay. And we scored the touchdown and won the game. So, man, that really for me was a rebirth for me as a wide receiver. That's when I really learned and appreciated, particularly Duper, because Duper was with me for that training camp. They let him go at the end of training camp, but I learned a lot from Duper with regards to how to operate as a wide receiver in that particular offense and what Dan liked, what Dan didn't like. But, man, it was a great time down there with you guys. I miss you, man. I really miss you. It's good. It's good reconnecting with you, man.
And you know what I really like, and I don't know if they have that in the game anymore, is we would come to the sideline and we would have a conversation with Stevenson, who was the offense coordinator, and I would say, they're doubling me.
Right.
And I didn't say move me to get me open. They're doubling me. That means Ingram, that means Fryar. Somebody's open and they got one-on-one. But we had such confidence in the play of the other person that you would come and say, not throw me the ball, I want more catches.
Right.
I'm being doubled. They're taking me out of the game. They're not going to let me win this game. We got to win it some other way. And I think that's what made it so beautiful when we were out there playing together. It was just this movement of understanding this guy over here, he can play just as good as I can. He will make the play. I trust him with the play.
Right.
And to have a signal caller again like Dan Marino, man, that was just.
Well, to tell the truth, when I got down there, I didn't know if I was going to catch any balls because, I mean, when I got there, you were there, and you're a great player. Coming in your rookie year, you set records your rookie year in Philadelphia that just got broke several years ago. You caught, what, 8? Was it this year?
8-1. Sam Laporta broke it this year, the tight end from Detroit.
I thought as a rookie for the Eagles. I'm talking about the Eagles record.
Yeah, for the Eagles.
Yeah. Deshaun Jackson broke your record. He right. But you were 81 catches.
My tight end record just got broken by a guy who had an extra game. I'm going to throw that out there. He had one more game than I did. He had 17 games.
Well, you know what? I said the same thing last year because last year, I had 88 catches one of my years there. Actually, I had 88 catches and 86 catches. So I had the two highest amount of catches in a season as an Eagle. And that record just got broke last year by A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but they didn't break it until the 17th game.
Right.
Yeah, it took them 17 games to break the catch record.
Yeah, you got to put an asterisk there. 17 games.
And I was 35 years old when I did it too.
Yeah. The guy, well, that's true. Now that's true. You were
I
a
was
freak
old.
of nature, if I had to call it. It's a freak of nature. I mean, to run like you ran and have yourself put together like that, at your age was incredible. But the guys who played before us played 14 games, right? So,
Right.
so you
Right.
know, Jim Brown, and you're
Right.
saying is he the greatest running back? And
Hmm.
you know, Gale Sayers, guys who had 14 games and put up numbers. Then he goes to 16 games. So you know, there's always going to be an argument.
Right.
These guys they're gonna
Right.
have 20 games, and all of a sudden these guys are gonna say, "Where they play?" So that's just the way the game
Yeah,
is.
I don't know if they're ever going to get to 20 games the way they're trying to, make the game safe now. And we'll talk about that later, the way the game is played in comparison to how the game was played when we played. We got a few people on right now. Vincent Capriati, what's going on? Keenan Harmon, what's happening? Denise Fraley, it is. What's going on? Ingracia. John Ingracia, what's happening? Y'all are in the house. Listen, if you have a question for Keith, this is Keith Jackson, first round draft choice. Philadelphia Eagles, tight end, come on, out of Oklahoma. That's back when Oklahoma and Nebraska were balling. Yeah.
Yeah, we go with it. Yeah.
Nebraska ain't doing nothing now.
No, boy, struggling. It was. I felt sorry for him when I went up there to see Oklahoma play.
What
I mean,
you feel?
it's not the same
You felt
team.
sorry for Oklahoma?
I felt sorry for Nebraska.
Oh, what can you say? What do you feel sorry for Oklahoma for?
No, Oklahoma's doing great. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, that rivalry. They brought back that rivalry. You wanted to see it. And, you know, it's just, you know, you want to beat a certain team, but you love that rivalry because it's like when we played against each other, it came down sometimes to the last plays of the game.
Yeah.
And you start
Yeah.
looking at all of the Heisman Trophy, all of the All-Americans, all
Yeah.
of the first picks of the draft.
Yeah.
You know, we think about you and Billy Sims and those guys. When you start going down and you look at the number, it was so much talent that there was appreciation for that talent, even as a player that was a nemesis on the other team.
Right. You mentioned Billy Sims. I think had he not gotten hurt, he probably would have all the rushing records because I saw Billy Sims do stuff I ain't never seen a running back do before. People who missed him, obviously people who are younger now who may not even know Billy Sims, not familiar with his name. But back in the day when he played, man, that cat did some stuff I ain't never seen running backs do. I mean, we know, we got Walter Paytons and we got the Barry Sanders and we got the Emmitt Smiths, but
Yeah.
Billy Sims was the truth.
Yeah.
That cat
And
there, man.
he was around in a contemporary with Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell was a big physical running back
Right.
that ran over people. Billy Sims was he was fast, he was quick,
Yeah.
he was powerful,
Strong and
he
strong.
had it
Yep.
all.
Mhm. Yeah.
Out of
Yeah.
Hooks, Texas. That was
Hooks,
a great
Texas?
time for Oklahoma. Yeah.
I could swear, that my eyes saw him running like sideways parallel to the ground one time.
He did it, no question.
I'm like,
I
what
don't know
is
if you know that Congressman J.C. Watts was his quarterback.
that? J.C.
You remember
Watts,
that?
yeah.
J.C. Watts. And so they're playing against, I think, Florida State, and J.C. pitches the ball on that option to Billy, and Billy's running sideways, and he hits that outside leg, and he dives 5 yards. It's just something you go, how in the world did
Yeah.
he do that?
Yeah, he was exceptional. He was special. Steve Andrews is in the house. He said, "Love you in Philly, KJ, but it was a beautiful thing to see you guys playing together in Miami. That was good stuff, man." Yeah, thanks for that, Steve.
Philly was a lot of fun, and I want to tell you now.
I was gonna say, talk to us about your time in Philly. You were drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, coming out of Oklahoma.
Hey, I've never dealt with, in Oklahoma, we're in the South and everything. You get to Philly, you get a couple curse words, couple boos, couple whatever it is. You get some guys talking trash to you. You go, wait a minute, I thought you were fans out. You got my jersey on, but you're giving me a hard time. And I tell people about Philly fans is that Philly fans are people who put their boots on, who put their hard hat on, and they have an expectation that you work just as hard as they do. And if you don't go out on that field and represent, they're going to let you know it. And, I enjoyed those days. I realized that's just the way it was, but it was a shock leaving Oklahoma and actually going to Philadelphia because of the culture. But my 4 years in Philly, the team that we had, the defense that we built, the offensive plays that we won, that was a fun offense to be in too, because you had guys like Keith Byers who was there, and me and Fred Barnett and Calvin Williams and Mike Quicks. And so you could be in multiple formation. And I tell people, me and Keith Byers playing together was the greatest time because we could have two tight ends. Mm-hmm. He could play fullback, running back, wide receiver. I could play wide receiver. So you never knew which formation we'd line up in. And we put some points on the board. again, health got us. I think the year that Randall Cunningham got hurt was our Super Bowl run, but
Right.
kind
And
of
that
same
and
thing
that
with Dan
and,
Marino. I
and
think with Dan Marino, kind of same thing. I think
yeah.
that was our Super Bowl run year, and
Mhm.
Marino gets hurt. So
Yeah, and you mentioned him in the latter part of what you were saying about the Philadelphia team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and your time there. But that Weapon X, Randall was no joke,
oh,
man. He
it
was.
was no joke. How Randall's not in the Hall of Fame, I have no clue how
Yeah,
that's not.
exactly.
He should be one in the Hall of Fame. But let me tell you, our defense was so good when Randall got hurt. They would come into the offensive meeting and say, if you score 13 points, we'll win the game. I mean, they would tell our offense, just score 13 points because you're talking about Clyde Simmons, you're talking about Reggie White, you're talking
Yeah.
about Jerome Brown, Mike Pitts, Golick, you're talking about B&E, Byron Evans, you're talking about Eric
Wow.
Allen. I mean, just the names, Andre Waters, Wes Hopkins. I mean, it was just a physical defense. They said, score 13 points. We couldn't score 13 points because Randall was such a weapon.
But you
Randall was
mentioned all
such a
those names
weapon.
on
He was such
defense.
a weapon in that offense.
That's a defensive all stars, man. I mean,
Oh yeah,
since
it is.
and
It is.
since
It is.
we're there right now, let's just stay right there. The defense that the Eagles have right now, I don't know if you've been following them or not. I'm sure you've heard about the slide
Yeah.
or the collapse that this team
Yeah.
has been on the last 6 weeks, or lost 5 out of the last 6 games in the latter part of the season after going 10-1. It's primarily, I would say, the offense has some issues. They don't have any blitz routes and design for blitzing, and they don't handle the blitz very well. And they've been a little bit stymied. But overall in the season, the offense hasn't done that bad because they average 25.5 points a game, and they're third in the league on third down. So that's not bad for the offense, though they haven't scored a lot of points in recent games. But the defense, good God from Zion, the defense is one of the worst in the league. And I can't remember a time in the league, particularly when I played, that the Philadelphia Eagles did not have a good defense.
Right. I say a couple of things. I really want to put it out there. Um, I tell people all the time, you can talk about how great a defensive line is. If you don't have guys that can cover in that back end and make that quarterback hold the ball for one
Yeah.
more second
Yeah.
or one pump, you can forget about it. It doesn't make any difference. You could be, I don't care if you're Fletcher Cox or whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that defensive back, which they've had too many injuries in the secondary
Right.
to hold them. That's just it. And so everybody's talking about, man, the Eagles got a great defensive line. No, look at how those secondary was holding up. There was no open people, so they was getting a lot of sacks. Well, when you eliminate that and lose all your linebackers, there's no way you're going to be the same defense. And then you lose your defense coordinator.
Yes.
Yeah, when you lose coordinator. And so when you look at Philly, they had 2 great coordinators. And then you look at where the coordinators are now, you say to yourself, it makes a difference to have coordinators, offensively and defenses, that can call the right plays in the right situation that's for your players. When you don't have that, you struggle a little bit, and that's the Eagles. They just had too many injuries at the end of the day on the back end.
But that's the danger, or the norm, I should say, in the league right now. So okay, there's a lot of talk right now that Sean Desai is out because they brought Matt Patricia in, and they changed defensive coordinators after the team was when it was 10-3, I think the record was. They changed defensive coordinators. Matt Patricia was already there, but they just moved Sean Desai out and put Matt Patricia in, and he's calling the plays. But then you got Brian Johnson on offense calling the plays, and everybody's talking about the fact that they're probably going to be gone at the end of the season. But the norm of the league right now, you bring in a good offensive coordinator, you bring in a good defensive coordinator, and the team does well next year, then guess what? They're going to be going somewhere else as head coaches, and you start all over again. Yeah.
I'll give you for instance. So you take Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Outside of being in that system in San Francisco.
Right.
But then you take Purdy and you put him in that system. And it's hard to say that it's not the system. So that's what coaching does. It takes players that maybe not the top tier players, maybe not the Mahomes of the world, but it turns them into, because they put them in the right system in order to make plays.
And they coach them in that system too. It's the coaching along with the system. Yeah.
And so what happens is when those coaches are gone, this is what you get.
Yep.
It's what you get. I mean, so now you got to figure out how to bring more coaches in, or to figure out take your talent to suit whatever offense or defense you're playing.
And then the frustrating part falls on the players. I see Jalen Hurts. He's frustrated right now because they don't have the answers offensively for whatever the defense is doing that they had last year. You know, Shane Steichen, he's at Indianapolis, and we know he's a great play caller because he had Gardner Minshew up there in Indianapolis, and they were scoring touchdowns with smoke and mirrors. They didn't make the playoffs, but they played well for his first year. So we know he had a lot to do with the success that the offense had last year and what Jalen was able to accomplish last year. And we've got pretty much the same offense, but we're not producing. Not producing like they were last year.
And I'm not beating up on coaches and play calling.
Beat them up. Beat them up.
I'm going to take you back to one game. They're playing the Dallas Cowboys. There's one team that I love seeing lose. It's the Dallas Cowboys. It's just the eagle in me.
That's right. You got to say it. Go ahead and say it one time. Dallas sucks. Say it. Go ahead. You can say it. Come on, say it. You can say it.
Look at
say Dallas sucks. Say Dallas sucks.
Arkansas and Jerry Jones is from Arkansas, and we're friends. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So I can only go so far.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna let you slide. I'll let you slide.
So I can't go too far on that. But when you take Parsons, who's an incredible player, they put a system in to take advantage of his quickness and over pursuing and everything. And that whole game, every time he'd come upfield, they either shuffle up under him, run almost like an option. They did some stuff that I said, this is some incredible play calling.
Right.
But you got a guy who's a potential head coach who's calling the plays a year ago. Now you get rid of him. Now you're not scheming guys like that. You're not coming in and scheming guys. You're just saying our offense is going to be good enough to win. No, you got to go in and scheme individual players. You got to scheme system. And the good ones that can do it, they'll be head coaches and they'll leave you. Like you said, they won't stay long. They're going to be head coaches. Right.
And then what you do, you know, these offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, they're smart in the league today. So you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again because guess what? They figure you out and they'll shut you down.
That's right. No question. Smart people.
Yeah.
You can say, this is the greatest offense I've ever seen. There's no way you can stop it. And all of a sudden, people stop it. You look at the Miami Dolphins, for example. Now people are saying, keep two safeties deep. Make sure that Tariq doesn't get any big plays on. You know, Waddle get big plays on it and make them earn it. And let's see if Tua can do it. But everybody else was trying to play man up and come up. Hey, somebody smart enough said, we're not going to try to beat them with speed. We're going to keep some guys deep.
Right. No, you can't beat those cats with speed. I think the coordinators, defensive coordinators were thinking if we get pressure on Tua, which is the truth or which is the case in most instances, if you get pressure on a consistent basis on the quarterback, the quarterback will start making mistakes. You know, he'll start seeing things that's not really there. He'll start throwing the ball awry, and he'll break down. Patrice Watts in the house. Alvin Oakman, all the way in Washington, the state of Washington. That's Chucky Oakman.
Hey, what a football team they had there. UW did a pretty good job, man.
Yeah. Gary Howard's in the house. Billy Bell's in the house. Good to see all y'all tonight. Thanks for being with us. Let me say this real quick before we move on, and we'll talk to Keith about him a little bit. We've been talking football. But understand this, everyone who's on right now, thank you for joining us here at the Fryar Place. We are here now. We've changed our time. Fridays at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. That's when we're going to be on now. No longer on Fridays at 12 noon. We'll be on at Fridays at 6 p.m. The first Friday of every month, we will be live at the Cigar Code in Philadelphia on Delaware Ave, 939 North Delaware Avenue. We have a live guest and we have a live audience the first Friday of every month. The last 3 Fridays, if there's a 4th Friday or 5th Friday of the month, we'll be here in the studio with our virtual guests like Keith Jerome Jackson. Hey Keith,
Jerome,
listen.
Man. Nobody knows me about Jerome.
Now I'm gonna start calling you Jerome, KJJ. We kind of look alike, man. We got older.
Bald head and gray hair. That's what it is. But let me tell you something. When you start talking about it was a minute to go in the game and this play was called and this. You are doing well, brother. No CTE for you because I'm telling you, you can remember. I mean, how do you come up with plays with all that situation?
Listen, I don't, some of these doctors that we've dealt with, at least one of the doctors I dealt with, and some of I've heard with other guys, they want to go in and have you play tricks to try to get paid. I'm not doing that. I'm not going in and try to act like I'm stupid. First of all, I'm not stupid. First of all, nothing's really wrong with my head. I don't have, I'm still preaching. I'm still writing sermons. I'm still focusing. I'm still memorizing, all that kind of stuff that helps keep your brain and its ability to function. I'm not going to a doctor and drool out my mouth and try to act like something's wrong with me, because ain't nothing wrong with me in that regard. But and if you do that, you mess around and don't tempt the Lord thy God.
You start speaking it, and it becomes what you are. Right?
Yes, sir.
You can have what you say, and I don't have any of that. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, man, I'll do it. Gary Howard is in the house. I said Billy Bell. Keenan, say it for Serena. Say what? Oh, he's saying Dallas sucks for Serena. Serena is my wife.
Okay.
Serena's my wife, and she's a Dallas fan. She's a Dallas fan.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You did not.
I didn't know before I said I do. I didn't find out till after I said I do, bro.
Once you say I do, you can't say I don't.
Yeah, I'm done. I was done. Yeah. I couldn't change it, bro. I found out after the fact, so I got to hang in there. It's blasphemy in my house when Dallas is playing the Eagles, or when Dallas is playing at all, because I want Dallas to lose every week.
Right. It's really interesting. Being from Little Rock, growing up as a kid, the only team you saw, it was regional, was the Cowboys. That was the game you saw every region. So most people in Arkansas are 100% Cowboy fans. And
wow. I didn't know that.
So it's not a lot. Yeah. So it's kind of you were there. And so that's kind of like the way they usually St. Louis Cardinal baseball, Dallas fans. It's kind of like in this region, that's kind of the way it is. So I'm walking around. There's not a lot of us walking around going fly, Eagle, fly. Now, I can tell you that.
So let's talk about you a little bit. How did you get to Oklahoma, man, coming out of high school?
So, it's really interesting. If you ever met Barry Switzer, it's hard to say no to him. Barry Switzer is an incredible coach. He's an incredible recruiter, and he always said, you can have great coaches, but you don't have great players. There's no way you're gonna win games. So he was a elite coach who would go out and recruit players. But I had a chance to go on a visit, and another thing Coach Swisher said. He said, players recruit players, coaches don't recruit players. And when I went to the University of Oklahoma, all of the players love Coach Barry Switzer. And so I was like, okay, that's a check mark. And then he took me in to see some film of a quarterback out of Henrietta, Oklahoma, that could throw the ball. Incredibly throw the ball. 18-year-old by the name of Troy Aikman. And when you saw Troy throw the ball, I went, oh my good, this is going to be my quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, University of Arkansas was after me, and I grew up a Razorback fan. But
Nebraska didn't come after you? Nebraska didn't come after you?
No, they didn't know. They didn't know where I lived. That's just the way.
Lord have mercy,
how could you make it all the way to New Jersey and not make it to Little Rock, Arkansas? That's what I'm trying to figure.
I got lost, bro. I got lost. They got lost. I got lost.
But Troy Aikman was a great quarterback, had a great arm, and I said, oh man, Oklahoma has a shot of winning the championship. Troy Aikman is a great quarterback, but Troy ended up getting hurt and transferring to UCLA. But that's how I got to Arkansas. That was one of the really main reasons. Is when you're a receiver, you go, let me find some good quarterbacks.
Right.
As a matter of fact, my wife says sometimes, she goes, were you that good of a player, or was it your quarterbacks? Because I had Randall Cunningham, Dan Marino, and Brett Favre. So
wait a minute, dude. Wait a minute. You did. I'm jealous. Now I have the record for playing with 19 different quarterbacks. I hold the record in the NFL playing 19 different quarterbacks in 17 years. And all of those quarterbacks, I dare say all of them, except for one, was average or below average.
Right.
Dan Marino was the only one. I only played with him for 2 years. He got hurt when I first got there. I only played with him for 2 years. All of them were average or below average except for Dan Marino, and I only played with him for 2 years. I'm jealous, man. Brett Favre, Troy Aikman. Oh, come on.
I did. I played with three great quarterbacks, and so my answer to my wife, who's giving me a hard time, is, honey, I put two of them in the Hall of Fame and one to go.
And this is what I tell people all the time. I say about catches. When we make catches, they say, you hear the commentators say, that was a great catch. Well, yeah, it was a great catch. You know why it was a great catch? Because it was a terrible throw.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
We made the quarterback look good.
Not only that, you kind of, when you look at, when I talk to my kids about running routes and getting open, I said, if you didn't create windows of opportunity for your quarterback to throw the ball, it wasn't no 50-50 balls.
No.
If you didn't get open, you didn't get the ball.
You weren't getting the ball. That's right.
You call it 50-50. They threw it up. No, you're going to get open or you're
Right.
not getting the ball.
That's right.
I said, if you see my stuff where I'm running routes and I'm catching the ball, it's like I'm running by myself a lot. I said, it's not because somebody didn't cover me. You had to get rid of the guy cover you so the quarterback could throw you the ball. So when you go back and look at old football, where basically you see guys open and running downfield like nobody's covering them.
Right.
It's not that somebody didn't cover him. It's that you lost the guy that covered you. That was just that good of a route to get open. And this day and age, they'll throw it through windows and you got to catch it with guys on your back. No,
right.
You got to create space.
That's a great point, man, because, when we played, they didn't throw 50-50 balls.
No.
If the DB was that close to you, you wasn't getting the ball thrown your way. They were throwing it somewhere else.
Like I said, throw him open. You throw him open. I want to throw it open. You better be open or
you better be open. You're right. So you talked about, Arkansas, you talked about Oklahoma. What do you think about the NIL in today's game? And had it been in effect when we were in college, I probably never would have played pro football. I would have retired coming out of college. Shoot.
I got a love-hate relationship with it, right? I didn't get it when I was there.
Yeah.
That's the hate part. I mean,
do you think it's affecting? Do you think it's affecting college football, even pro football, in a negative way or positive way? Because these cats are getting money. They're going in the portal. They're changing schools.
I think it's negative. I think it's all negative. I think they've got to wrap their head around it. I think the fact that you saw Nick Saban retire the other day says that there's something wrong with football. I think there's a lot of other coaches that are going to say it's something wrong with football. And I think that Sankey, I'm putting the pressure on the SEC, has to be the first individual commissioner come and say, we've got to do something about this. Not totally take it away. Right. Because I go to Duke games, and I was walking around campus at a Duke game when a guy named Zion Williams was playing there. Nobody had any other jerseys other than him, and he didn't benefit from it, right? So there has to be some benefit for for your name, engine likeness. The numbers that they're throwing out now, how much money guys are making.
Millions of dollars. It's said that if you're going to, I see Craig Kelman, I see you in the house too, Craig. Good to see you, my brother. It's said now that if I'm a college recruit, if I'm a college coach, and I'm trying to get a good quarterback coming out of high school, I've got to get him at least $2 million.
Yeah. Of NIL. I mean, and you
think NIL, $2 million,
and it depends on that quarterback, So when you have some quarterbacks who say, well, I'm going to get this much money, but I'm taking care of my offensive line, right? Because there's got to be a way that the players around me, and you see some of the quarterbacks that are doing that, but at the same time, you got this left tackle who's making $100,000, and you got a quarterback making. It just doesn't add up to. It doesn't add up to team. It just doesn't add up. Together, everyone achieves more because people are getting paid more, and that's taking that away from the college game. That being said, I think the O'Bannon brothers were right. There had to be something that we got back for us playing and making the college football finance. So I think there's two sides of it. I think that they got to balance it out and put a number on it. I think they got to tax the NFL. I know the NFL don't hear that because really right now, college is nothing but a minor league for the NFL. So with that being said, because it's not really for education anymore, because you got to think about it.
They're going for money.
Kids who come out of high school who would go to college can't go to college because you got transfers coming in. Right? You got all these transfer portals. So you got to ask yourself, now, is it about going to college anymore? And so I think that they've got to do something. They've got to look at it. They got to make some decisions. And whoever they are, I always say, why you say they? Whoever they are need to figure out what they need to do.
And you're probably right about Saban. That's I'm sure that may have had or was a factor in why he retired. Because man, listen, you're a college coach, and you got a player that's making $6 million a year. What do you say to him? How do you correct him? How do you coach him? How do you coach him hard? How do you bench him if he's not playing well? It's wow. It's a challenge for these.
Here's the other side of it. Now think about this for a second. You have a kid who's making the money, right? They're playing a position. They're going to go pro from where they are. Another team comes along and whisper in their ear and say, if you came here, you would get X.
And they're gone.
So you're banking on him being a starter. You're giving him the money he wants. The next year, he's gone from your team.
He's gone.
You're kidding me. Come on, man.
Yeah, they got to tie those loose ends up. They definitely have to bring that thing up under control, because right now, it's any man for himself. It's a free for all right now. They can go and do whatever they want to do and go to the highest bidder, which is just absolutely ridiculous. It's actually beyond free agency because they don't have any contracts.
The other side of that is you have all these people opting out in bowl games. And so the notion is I'm paying you money to play during the season, then you opt out in a bowl game. I would keep 40% of the money I've got to pay you until after that bowl game.
Right,
There's
right.
no way. They've got to figure out something. Somebody's got to get together, start writing down and saying, here's the way it's got to work. Do I want kids to make money? Yeah, because if you're going to go to a playoff system where we've got to play that many games, they deserve to get paid. Right?
Sure,
There's
sure.
no question they deserve to be paid. Yeah. How they get paid, how much they get paid, what's fair, and all that stuff. We got to figure that out.
Well, we was getting paid under the table. I ain't saying no names or nothing like that, but when we was in college, we was all right. I didn't want for nothing when I was in college. Put it that way.
All I know is we need to apologize to Pete Carroll and Reggie Bush and all them for taking their stuff back. Like, I'm sorry, you get all your stuff back, right?
Give it back to him. Yep, give it back. You talked about your son. You have him. Well, I think your younger son was a wide receiver, but your oldest son was a defensive lineman at Arkansas. Yeah. Was it KJ Jr.?
Yeah, KJ Jr. played. Yeah, that's right.
And he went on to play with the Rams, right?
Yeah, he went to play with the Rams and went out to San Diego for a little bit. And really, and when I look at him, he is the side of the game. Now, I was excited about playing the game, but he played defense tackle down in the trenches, hitting those heads over and over again and everything. And so, neck injury, back problems. He's struggling from that point. My other son, I had one in the middle of that. So my younger son, of course, played wide receiver. Then I had a young one named Kenyon. I had Colin, who's the youngest. Kenyon, who's the middle, and then Keith is the oldest. All of them play football. I mean, one played at Illinois. So Kenyon played at Illinois, ILL. That's all they got, ILL. That's it. That's the chant. So anyway, I enjoyed my time going through the Big Ten because I had never been to the Big Ten before he started playing up there. So I got a chance to go hang out with Keith Byers at Ohio State. I got a chance to go out, hang out with Calvin Williams at Purdue. And so I'm really just going to chance or seeing some of my teammates traveling around. But I will say that I've never paid a college tuition, so that's a blessing. I mean, if my kids play sports, I would allow kids to play sport, even though people are talking about CTE and concussion issue. I still will let my kids play football, and even though Keith is struggling a little bit, the reason why is because if I had that much time in the evening from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock and I had nothing holding me in, think about how much trouble we'd have gotten in.
It's different.
If we didn't play sports and we had all that time before Mama got home between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, football's a lifesaver. Like sports is a lifesaver.
Right.
It doesn't make any difference whether it's softball all the way up. To have somebody to make sure that you're that somebody's watching your grades, making sure that you are responsible as a young kid. That stuff is important to me.
It's tough for kids these days, man. Today in the 21st century in 2024, you were looking up stats on your phone. Look, when we played together back in 1994, 95, and 93, we didn't have cell phones like that. There were computers that you go Google stuff and look it up, and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. Well, none of that stuff, man. So we weren't distracted, even though, we were older, I should say, but we were still young men. But we weren't distracted by all of that kind of stuff. Today, these kids, man, I don't know what I would do or how I would make it if I was 18, 19 years old right now. I would probably never get to college because there's too many distractions from social media. There's too many distractions because the world has shrunk because of modern technology. And there's just so many things pulling at our young kids these days, man. Congratulations to your boys for going to college and playing ball, man, because that's That's
Yeah.
tough to do. It's tough to stay
That's
focused.
parenting, right? So that's going to be parenting. I tell people, when my kids were young, I started working with them on academics and athletics when they were young, and that's just the
Hmm.
way it is. And so I put in the tough time, the
Right.
suffering of this present time won't be compared to the glory, right?
To the
So you
glory.
got to have some suffering to get glory. So we
Yeah.
be out on that football field, it's hot. They go, Daddy, it's hot out here. I said, let me tell you, everybody else is at home eating ice cream. We out here getting the
Hmm.
job done.
Right.
And by 10 years old, I go, we have a 529 that you put the kids' money in if they go to college here in Arkansas. I didn't put
Mhm.
another dime. I saw them play their first game at 9 years old. I didn't put another dime in a college account for
See, I
none of
got,
them
see,
because I
I
knew
got
at that
some, I
point
got something here. Yeah, I got something here.
they at least they may not make it to the pros, but they're going to make it to college. And
Right,
so,
right.
the work that you put in, the mentoring, the managing that you put in on those kids when they're young, that's what helps them as they get older. And so you got to have that. But when you look at the absentee father in the family, the distracted mother in the family, you look at
Hmm.
all that stuff. Now that's
Right.
an issue you have.
Hmm.
But there's still parents that are mothers and fathers that are making sure that their kids get to that college level. And I'm proud of those parents.
Man, that's a great segue into what I want to ask you now because after you retired, you went back home to Little Rock. Like
Yeah.
my dumb behind came back home to Mount Holly. A prophet has no honor in his hometown.
Little Rock's my hometown
Oh,
too.
yeah, I know you struggle with that too. But you went back and you started Park. You had
Yeah.
your nonprofit, Positive Atmosphere Reaches Kids in Little Rock, and you're talking about your parenting when your kids were younger. Obviously, the nature of your relationship with your sons has changed because they're adults now. So you're more
Right.
of a sounding board than a police officer for them now.
Right.
But that whole affinity for young people and concern for their well-being and their mental state and their guidance and mentorship, that still is a part of you. And you started
Yeah.
Park. Tell everybody about Park and what you guys are doing today.
Yeah. So Park is the acronym again, like you said, for Positive Atmosphere Reaches Kids. And we what we do is we take students who make low GPAs, they're rising eighth graders, and what we do is we attack their deficiencies and we raise their GPAs and we send them to college campus. We actually
Wow.
have scholarships at like 29 universities, 29 scholarships. And so they go to school free of charge, but they start with like a 1.5 GPA.
Wow.
They're doing math and English on maybe a third or fourth grade level. And it's up to us to attack those deficiencies over those 5 years and make sure that we can put them on college campus. I always tell people I was a Park kid. I was in the seventh grade making D's and all that. And my mother said, that's not going to work. You can't play football. I realized after she said that I was a lot smarter than I thought I was, and my grade points went up. And so I stayed on the football team, and I recognized that challenge from my mother made me a better student and a better person. I think sometimes our students need to be challenged. We need to
Hmm.
make sure that we inspect what we expect, and so Park does that. We make sure that these kids are making a higher GPA, they're doing the right thing. Mentoring is important. I always say when I grew up, it was the deacon at church, it was the pastor, it was the uncle, it was the coaches that have been a part of your life, it was the teachers that want to make sure that you got to college. So what we try to do is we try to bring that into one place, and it's into a building called Park in Central Arkansas. And we've sent hundreds of kids off to college. We got Juris Doctors, we got PhDs. Just
Wow.
masters. I mean, these
That's
kids who were
awesome.
making these low GPAs. It's incredible what happens. But in a sense, we replace at least one of the parents, right?
Right. Right.
So we're going to make sure that you get to that college campus. And I see them walking all around town, and they call me all the time. We've had some great success stories, and so this is year 28. Matter of fact, this year
Wow.
29. Next year will be year 30 of having
Congratulations, man.
kids in a program. So we've
Yeah.
we've had a lot of them. We got alumni association where they come back and help with things and stuff like that. So
Nice.
yeah, we're
That's
steady
great.
putting them on college campus
That's
all over
great
the state
work.
of Arkansas. We don't send them out of state of Arkansas. I know that's a bit hypocritical because I went to Oklahoma. We don't
No, you keep the pearls in state,
we
man. You
keep
keep
them all right here in the state
you
of
keep the
Arkansas.
value in state. It just adds value to the state. Listen, you said your mama challenged you, your mama talked to you to and that inspired you to get better grades. My mom beat my behind. She ain't say nothing to me. Matter of fact, she did say something to me while she was beating me. You better get better. That's what my mom said. So that's why I got good grades when I was in high school, because I was or school period, because I was scared to death of my mama. My mama would beat the snot out of me, man.
Mamas like that. Hey, when I see mothers walking, in my program, it's pretty much grandmothers, and so now that all the grandmothers are passing away, you can see a gap.
Yeah.
Because grandmama didn't play, right?
Right.
She said,
Right.
This is it. You're going to go to that program. You're going to go to college. You're going to listen to Mr. Jackson. Here's what happened. Now you got mothers who are somewhat younger mothers who still
Wearing
trying to
Daisy
live their
Dukes. They wearing Daisy Dukes out in the club.
It's a huge difference, man. It's a huge difference. And let me tell you something. I remember we had a Mother's Day here at my center, and I invited all the mothers who had impacts and all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting up there talking to my mother, and tears start coming out my eyes. I go, I just want to say thank you. Not because you made money, not because I want to thank you for every whooping that you gave me. Because I realize how important. Now, I understand people go, that maybe that's child's when you go overboard and all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you something. I thank my mother for every one of them, because if it wasn't for that, there's no way. And so one of my friends said, well, how do you know? I said, what do you mean, how do I know? He says, how do you know that made a difference? I said, okay. I want you to go back and look when we were in school, when they had paddling in the school, when they had some kind of discipline in the school. I want you to go back and look at those days. Now I want to look at now, where they don't have it, and how the kids act in school and how they behave, and tell me, do you not see a difference? So that right there is my research. That's my statistical data.
Right. No, you're right.
You can see the difference between the two.
So how can people who are watching right now, Stuart Winrow is watching right now. He's in the house. We got people coming in and going out. Vince Capriati, Craig Kelman, Billy Bell, William James, Keenan Harmon, Gary Howard, Patrice Watt, Alvin Oakman, Wanda Cunningham. Wanda's in the house. Steve Andrews is in the house. Denise Fraley and John Ingracia, all in the house. How can people who are watching right now, and who will watch, how can they contribute to PARC? What do they need to do?
PositiveKids.org is a website called positivekids.org.
Positivekids.org.
Yeah, positivekids.org. And on the website, it'll push you to donation, talk about what we do, how many kids we've sent to college, and all that stuff. So I'm excited about going into year 30.
Okay.
With kids, with kids.
That's great. And the kids are grown. When I realized I was getting old, KJ, I was playing in Philly after I left Miami. When I started out in New England, there was a defensive tackle by the name of Julius Adams. Do you remember him?
I remember the name. Yeah.
Julius Adams. He was an All-Pro defensive tackle. And he was in his latter years when I got to New England. So I think I only played with him maybe 4 years we played together out of the 9 years I was in New England, maybe a little less. But anyway, he played 2-3 years with me, maybe 4 in New England. His son was a child when we were there. So I get to Philadelphia, and here comes Julius St. Jr. coming on the field. Hey, Mr. Fryar, how you doing? I'm like, what? I've been playing too long, man. I've been playing too long. I played with one of my teammates' son in Philadelphia, man. Oh my gosh. Listen, talking about playing with a defensive player, and he's my hero too, but you reference him a lot. We both do. I reference him too, not quite as much as you do, because I believe you guys were closer than he and I were, and that's Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. Talk about Reggie and his impact on you. Reggie told me when early in my career, Reggie came to me one day because he did a golf tournament for me. He spoke at my golf tournament, and Reggie told me, he said, "Irving, if you don't get saved, I'm gonna whoop your behind." That's what he told me.
Good dude.
He did. He said, "If you don't get saved, I'm gonna whoop your behind." I'm like, "Okay, Reggie."
I I remember, you know how big and how fast and how strong Reggie White was. He's just an incredible human being and a better man than a football player. And
Hmm.
I told him I was going to hurt him. He said he had quick wit. He was a lot of fun. He was funny, and he said, "What are you going to do? Tell me you don't love me?" I said, "Oh man, that's just funny." Because he's like, "There's no way." I was 250. He was 315. He's like,
Right.
"There's no way you're going to be able to hurt me. You're going to tell me you don't love me. That's how you're going to hurt me." It's like, so, but let me tell you something. When you say the ultimate teammate in a locker room, I
Hmm.
mean, he kept you laughing. He pushed you. He was right there in the trenches with you. He was going to make sure that you came to Bible study and learned about the Lord. I mean,
Right.
and he just was he no nonsense guy like that. But he gave money to charity. He helped people. He went down to the inner city. I mean, just everything about Reggie White said. How do you find a guy as big, as fast, as strong? I mean, and as smart as he was, and to be as good as he was, and that was just it was just I got a chance to be around him, and he would drop nuggets on you, boy. I remember he said one thing to me because he had Jacoria and Jeremy, and he said, we need to show our sons we love them just as much as we show our daughters. And I didn't know at that time I would have like two more boys. And so that
Hmm.
was really impactful. The other thing he told me, he said, if my son has to look further than the dinner table to find a hero, then I failed miserably. I said,
Oof.
wow. I mean, I got Reggie White nuggets for you. I mean,
Wow.
he would drop them for you, man. I mean, when he taught something, here's a guy that said it, but then he backed it up. When we were in Green Bay and Reggie White had a hole, I saw the hole in his hamstring that he tore it,
Wow.
and he was out for the season.
Hmm.
And he started crying in front of the team, saying, "I let you down," because this is our Super Bowl year for the run. It's a run for the Super Bowl, and he knew it. He said, "I let you down. I let the team down." And he calls me on the phone. He said, "KJ," I said, "What?" He said, "I want you to pray with me." I said, "Okay." He said, "I thank God." He said, "I know God done healed my hamstring." I said, now faith is not what you can see, right?
Right.
So I'm like,
Substance
okay,
to things hoped for. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna
Evidence of things
believe
not
that
seen.
what he believed is true.
Right.
And so he goes over, he said, "I'm going to run at the lot." He said, "I'm going to run at the facility." He goes to the facility. I can't wait. I keep calling Sarah, "Is he back yet? Is he back yet?" Well, he comes back, he said, "God healed me." And we went on to win the Super Bowl that year. But Reggie White had a hole. Everybody saw it. He saw it pulled, they saw the hole in
And
hamstring,
he
but he
played.
said God healed him.
And he
God,
played.
and played. And played well
And played
and
well.
made the last two sacks of the Super
Yes.
Bowl to win the
Yes.
Super Bowl,
With a
and
hole in his head.
told people that God was going to bring a Super Bowl to Green Bay in 5 years, and that was year number 5. I said, "Look here, man. Hey, you got a relationship. There ain't no question about it."
Look, don't mess with Reggie and God.
Don't mess with Reggie. Oh yeah, one lineman found out. That offensive lineman found out about that.
Uh-huh. Because God got Reggie's back. That yeah, he was a great it's a great loss. Society
Yeah,
lost something
yeah,
special. Not just football lost, but society lost someone special when he transitioned into the presence of the Lord. I truly miss him, and man, that was a great class we had coming out that year.
yeah.
Reggie
It was
White,
really good.
Bruce Smith, Steve
Yeah,
Young. I was in
yeah.
that class. Mike Rozier. We had a lot of great players in that class that year, man. That was a great
That was
class.
a heavy class right there, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of Hall of Famers. Maybe one day I'll get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Um,
you played long enough. You should get in there from playing long enough. There
well,
ought to be a time that if you play long enough, they just let you get
they
in.
just let you in.
No, you put the numbers up.
Look,
But here's the problem that you have.
I'm gonna hang up and call you back and say, Keith, I want you to pray. I want you to pray with me. I
Don't
believe
pray with
God has put me in the Hall of
God.
Fame.
You're pretty Hall of Fame. It's really interesting because our kids, you have chat with your kids. Just the other day, I was having a chat with my kids. We were sitting there and we were watching Kelsey, and they said, "Dad, we think Kelsey is the best tight end in the league." Can't argue with that.
Uh huh.
I'm just sitting there listening to him, and I'm watching Kelsey, and I can appreciate how he gets open. He knows how to get open the way
Right.
we used to get open in the back
Right.
in the day. And
Right.
everybody go, "Wow, he didn't even run the route." Anything about running the route is being in a position that the quarterback needs you to be in when it's time to catch the
Right.
ball, and
Yep.
he understands that. And so that would make. And it was earlier in the season. They said Travis Kelsey just caught his 50th touchdown. Now he's like 12 years in the league. He's 30 something years old and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
I said, and I was sitting there, my boys. I said, So you think Kelsey's a really good tight end? They go, yeah, he's a great tight end. Did you hear the announcer? He said, yeah, he caught 50 touchdowns already, Dad. I said, great. I said, I only played 9 years and caught 49 touchdowns.
49, there you go.
So I don't know what greatness is. I played 9 years and caught 49. He's played like 12 and caught 50. I don't know. Maybe if they threw the ball to me a lot more.
Or if you played longer, you definitely would have had a lot more touchdowns for sure. Yeah.
What's the most? You probably had one big game of targets, but most of the time you got 5. Maybe threw the ball to you.
But tight ends, yeah.
That's all you got. That's all. That's it. And if you got hot, I remember I had like a 12-catch game against the Washington Redskins.
Well, your rookie year with the Eagles, you were killing it, man.
And I caught 81 balls, but 12 of them was against the Washington Redskins. And I'm still going, wow, I'm getting the ball a lot. I'm loving this because I wasn't used to it. And of course, that went away for the rest of the season.
It went away for the rest of your career.
Yeah, for the rest of my career. Never saw that many catches ever again.
Well, listen, before we get out of here, man, we got a couple minutes left. I just want to ask you, this is, we just so happened to be, this is January 12th. We just so happened to be in Wild Card Weekend. There's a bunch of teams playing. The Dallas Cowboys are playing the Green Bay Packers in Dallas. The Lions are playing the Rams in Detroit. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing the Eagles in Tampa Bay. In the AFC, the Texans are playing the Browns at Houston. The Bills are playing Pittsburgh Steelers at Buffalo. And Kansas City Chiefs are playing the Miami Dolphins in Kansas City. Which one of those games is going to be the hot game? Which one are you looking forward to watching?
I'm actually looking forward to watching Green Bay and Dallas because what we talked about earlier, the fact that I love to see my Green Bay Packers, I'm a former Packer, to win the game and play against Dallas because Dallas has been known to mess up games in the playoffs. You can ask guys around the league who have much respect for football, and they'll tell you that if you go player by player, the Dallas Cowboys are probably one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, there's no question about that. But somehow they just mess it up. And their fans are so loyal because they go, we're going to win next year. You got all Dallas fans that we're going to win next year. We're going to win a Super Bowl next year.
They drink the Kool-Aid.
But I'm going to cut to the chase. Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco 49ers, 2 best teams, AFC, NFC.
That's your Super Bowl picks? That's your Super Bowl picks? I'm not inclined to disagree with you. I would have to, at this point, they both have buys this week, but at this point, I would definitely have to agree with you with that because I don't see any of these teams that I just rattled off, any of these teams beating either one of those teams.
No. But the other side of that, when you start thinking about old school football, you can do all that dancing and throwing around. I love seeing it. I love seeing open air offense. You know the thing that both of those teams do well? They run the football.
Run the ball. And that's how you got to win. You got to be able to run the ball and you got to stop the run.
That's it.
Football, listen, as much as they keep trying to change the game to make it offensive friendly so we can get touchdowns and throw the ball, football is not going to change. You have to be able to run the ball to win games, particularly the big games. You have to be able to run the ball, particularly when you need to run the ball. So if you're ahead, you got to control the clock by running the ball. And then you got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to get off the field if you're going to win championships. That's never going to change in football.
And I'll add 2 things to it because you can have 2 even teams. What makes it different? Turnovers. Third down conversions.
Third down conversions.
Yep. You're going to stop third down conversion or you're going to convert, and then turnovers. That's the end of the game right there.
And these today, I'm going to add this to it. I see this factoring in more so than ever before, even more so than when we played. You got to have a good kicker.
Yes.
You got to have a good kicker. If you got a good kicker, because these cats are making field goals at 61 yards, 65 yards. They're money. They're money. These kickers are unbelievable today. Yeah.
It changed how you coach the game. Am I going to go for it on 4th down? I may have to because I don't want them to get close enough for a field goal anyway. But
what do you think about the tush push, the brotherly shove? You think they should ban it?
No, not at all. Never. Why?
I don't think so either. I don't think they should ban it just because Philly does it better than anybody else.
I love it.
That's the only thing.
Every time we get on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, I go, 1st down. Let's go. Let's line up for the next play.
That's the only thing Philly's doing right now.
Well, one thing I will tell you, though, if you're going to stop that, you got to stop aiding the runner. Remember back in the day, you couldn't push guys, couldn't aid the runner.
Right. And I think that's why people want to stop it.
Right. Stop it all.
Right.
So you can't have offensive linemen pushing guys
Right.
downfield. You got to stop it off. You're going to stop it.
Right. Well, man, it's been great. Look, Pro Fan Talk. That's Marcus. What's going on, Marcus? Marcus is in the house. K Jack, thanks, bro. I appreciate you. Listen, you're going to get this way on the East Coast, right? Are you going to get this way anytime soon?
On a Friday. On a Friday.
You got to come on.
Be talking. I'm coming down there to talk with you on a Friday. I'm going to show up in person.
It's got to be first Friday of a month. Any one of the months, the first Friday.
Well, remind me.
I'll remind you. I'll remind you.
There a first Friday and a first Sunday that the Eagles are playing, then we can put it together.
Yeah. I got you, bro. I got you. Right. It's great getting back in contact with you, man. I haven't talked to this brother in years, and we just reconnected recently, and it's like we never lost contact, man. I appreciate you. Oh, let me say this too. I want to say this because I said this to you, and I want to say this to everybody who's watching and who will watch this. When I went through my issues 6-7 years ago, I was incarcerated. This man right here was the only one. He got on TMZ. They interviewed him, and Keith Jackson said, "Listen, there's something wrong about this. I know this guy, Irving Fryar, and there's something snaky about this. This doesn't sound right." And he's the only one out of the people I know that went public and defended me. So, bro, I want to thank you for that, because when I heard that, it meant a lot to me, because there were a lot of people that I found out that I thought meant something to me. I didn't mean anything to them. So I appreciate you, brother. I truly do. And whatever you need, you got my number. You give me. Look, my mom just showed up. My mom's on.
Well, tell your mom in closing. There's one other thing. You're not the only Q on this station today.
I was getting ready to say that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you.
I was going to shout out to you.
I don't have my purple and gold on, but
I'm the only one that's got nail. I'm the only one that's got nail you on, but you see, I got the purple mic and my purple and golds in the background.
I saw it in the background. I tell your mom, I said, thank you for whooping your butt when you were young, man.
She can hear you. She's listening. Tell her she's listening.
Tell her now she done got older and she need me to hold you down so she can get some licks in. I'll come up there and do that too.
I love you, man. Appreciate you, bro. All right, I'll talk with you soon. God bless you. All right. Man, that's my dude right there. Listen, we're turning the heat up. Or Jenna, is that how you say your name? Just or Jenna? God bless you. He said, good conversation. If KJ played today, let me go back. If KJ played today, let me go back to it. He'd break all the records. Yes, he would. Good to see you, bro. It's Just or Jenna. Is that how you say your name? I hope so. I hope I didn't jack it up. Henry Hall. Oh my gosh. Henry Hall is watching right now. What's up, bro? How are you? I need to have you on my show. Henry, hit me up. I think you got my number. Hit me up or DM me. I'm going to have you on my show, bro. I need to have you on this show. Yes, so we can bless the people, so you can bless the people. Marcus, good to see you too. Just is a Q. All right, frat brother. Rue, I see you. But listen, I just want to, again, remind everybody, we're turning the heat up. This is the Fryar Place, where the conversations are fire. We are on now every Friday, okay? Not at 12 noon anymore, but we're on Fridays at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m. Every first Friday of the month, we have an in studio. It's not in studio. It's a live in-person podcast at the Cigar Code 939 North Delaware Avenue in Philadelphia. Every first Friday of the month from 6 to 7 o'clock. All right. Fryar Place will be from 6 to 7 o'clock on Fridays now. But the first Friday of every month, we're going to be live at the Cigar Code 939 North Delaware Avenue. Live guests, live audience. It's hot. You missed it. Last week we had we had our first show there at the Code, and Ron Jaworski was our guest. It was phenomenal, y'all. So if you're in town or if you're around on the first Friday of every month at 6 o'clock p.m., right next to Rivers Casino, the Cigar Code, 939 North Delaware Avenue. Come on in. We have a live guest, popular people. It'll be a great show. Like I said, this is the place where the conversations are fire, the Fryar Place. And the rest of the weeks of the month will be in studio like we are now. So thank you all. Listen, we had a great conversation with my great friend Keith Jackson. Don't forget to go to his organization. It's called PARK, PARK. That stands for Positive Atmosphere Reaches Kids. All right. And you can go to positivekids.org. That's positivekids.org. And you can contribute to help those kids go to college out there in Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout out to you, Keenan Harmon. Shout out to you, Stephen Pace. What's going on? Timothy Hutton, Pastor Hutton. Where's all y'all on tonight? God bless you. Thanks for coming on today. He said, good show. You watching the show and you didn't acknowledge yourself? Come on. I appreciate you though, bro. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Vinny Capriati, Just Orgina, Ruth, Marcus. Shout out to you, Henry Hall. Hit me up, Henry, so we can have you on the show. Keenan Harmon, Mama, I see you. Florence, all the way out at the state of Washington. Stu Winrow in the house. Vinny Capriati, Craig Kelman, Billy Bell, William James, Gary D. Howard, Patrice Watt, my old high school classmate. Good to see you. Chucky Oakman, Uncle Chucky's out there in the state of Washington with Florence. Wanda Cunningham, shout out to you. Steve Andrews, shout out, brother. God bless you. Thanks for coming on today. Thank you for supporting. Denise Fraley and John Ingracia. Y'all, we will be back next week, same time, same place, same purpose, to have a conversation that is fire. God bless you, and may the Lord keep you. We'll see you next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Peace out.